Are you ready to think big and act bold? Then you are in the right place. This is Innovative Entrepreneurs, a podcast that will bring you the stories, insights, and tips from some of the most successful and innovative entrepreneurs in the world. I am your host, Erica Bailey, and I am here to help you start, scale, and sustain your own entrepreneurial journey. Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Innovative Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Erica Bailey, and as always, I want to express my gratitude that you choose to join us. Today, I have an incredible guest. Her name is Madeleine Raiford-Holland. She is a powerhouse entrepreneur who has built 3 successful companies and a thriving community of over 2 million people. As the founder of MHM Luxury Properties, MRH Education, and moderately high maintenance luxury properties, Madeline is dedicated to helping others break free from the golden handcuffs and create profitable, automated short-term rental businesses that offer both financial and time freedom. She is also the host of the Luxe and the Short of It podcast, which I was blessed to be a guest, and we'll make sure we share that with you, where she explores everything from entrepreneurship and business resilience to brand building, leadership, and balancing motherhood with business success. Can you tell why we're in sync already? We are thrilled to have her share her story, insights, and journey with us today. Welcome, Miss Madeline. It's good to see you again.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. I'm so impressed you did that in one take, too.
Again, 89 steps or 89 episodes in, and you kind of get used to it. Practice makes perfect.
Excellent work. Thank you so much for that warm welcome and that intro. It's so wonderful to be here with you.
Yay. It's good to see you again. So for those of you joining us today, I was able to talk with Madeline, I believe it was last week, on her podcast, The Luxe and the Short of It. Really excited to watch that. But she has a beautiful soul. You can see it radiating even through the computer. And I have no doubt that she is going to provide a lot of value to our listeners, especially as a woman in business who has a family. So let's jump right into this. Now, you have built 3 successful companies. Can you kind of share with us what each of those companies are and maybe what inspired you to create them?
Absolutely. So I think we have to go back a little bit further than the three companies, but they all kind of build on each other, and it's the continuation of a theme that no training is ever wasted. And when I left college, I went in with a biology degree of all things. I thought I wanted to go to medical school, and then about freshman or sophomore year of college, I realized that blood, guts, throw up were definitely not my thing. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to need a shift. So I went to a career counselor, and they're like, you're going to have to spend an extra year if you want to change your major to business or entrepreneurship or something. So I said, you know what? I'm going to stay biology. I'm just going to rock on with this, get that diploma and continue on. But I focused on getting a lot of business internships and training. And so after that, I decided to join my family's business, which was a government contracting company. My dad is an entrepreneur, a brilliant inventor. He has 3 patents on his technology of high security ID cards, of all things. Like federal, state, and local government, it only gets sold to the government. So he wanted to be able to focus more on that aspect. And I was like, you know what? I'm truly gifted at operations and making things and processes work. So I came in, and during my time with the company, we doubled in size because we were able to increase operational efficiencies over there. And so during my stint in that business, I was traveling a lot to meet with clients and spending over 100 nights a year in hotels. And I was by myself most of the time. So I created this lifestyle website called Moderately High Maintenance. and I shared travel guides, gluten and dairy-free recipes, life on my farm. For those of you who don't know me, my farm, I have 3 dwarf goats and 2 horses and 2 giant Great Pyrenees and chickens. Like, that is my life passion. Like, I love my little hobby farm of animals, of all things. And I was sharing that on that website, Moderately High Maintenance. My husband came up with the name Moderately High Maintenance. And now he would say there's nothing moderate about it, and like, rude. But what that business did was I started sharing it on social media. I started doing brand collaborations with brands like Target, Delta Airlines, All Modern, Wayfair. All of these household names wanted to collaborate with me to share their products on my lifestyle website. So that taught me how to create content well, how to create it consistently. And I grew that into a 6-figure business. And so fast forward a little bit, my husband, John, and I, we had our first son, and I knew that high security ID cards were not really my passion, but I wasn't planning to ever leave the family business. But John was traveling a lot for work. And we said, you know what, something's got to change. We're traveling 100 nights a year, at least, each one of us independently. We have this little boy, like, we're building other people's brands, and we're, making other people a ton of money, but we're not building anything for ourselves. The majority of millionaires out there get it through real estate, and we want to explore it. So I had some long-term rental experience, and all that it taught me was that tenants and toilets were not for me, not high enough return on investment for long-term rentals. It just wasn't my jam. So I said, well, what about short-term rentals with Airbnb? I have all these amazing brand connections that I built through Moderately High Maintenance. What if we create a physical property, a representation of all of the products that I've shared on my lifestyle website, and put it into an Airbnb so that my community has a place to come and experience that? So Moderately High Maintenance, the website, turned into MHM Luxury Properties. And so what we did was we created this beautiful space with all of the products I've been sharing for years on Moderately High Maintenance. And I also used my experience with affiliate marketing to make the entire property shoppable so that people could shop the products that they were experiencing in the space. It was so wildly successful that we opened 5 more properties in the next 6 months. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? This thing has some legs. I had never imagined that we would be able to cash flow so much money, have somebody else be paying down the mortgage. We were winning on cash flow. We were winning on equity on the properties. We were winning on appreciation. We were winning on taxes because of all the tax breaks. Like this thing, we can really do something with this. And I just felt so passionate about it. And I was proud of the work that I was doing because people were coming and loving the experience. And so at that point, I put on my COO hat and said, you know what? If we're going to scale this quickly, we need to make sure that we are not just creating another job for ourselves. Mm-hmm. We need to get the systems, the processes, the automations, all of the systems in place so that as we grow and expand, we're not just creating more and more work for ourselves.
Working for you, not you working for it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because this type of business has the propensity to just really suck all of your time if you don't set it up appropriately. And so we were really intentional about that from day one, of setting it up the way that it needed to be set up. And it put us in a position to scale quickly. And so now our portfolio has 16 properties in 3 different states that we're able to manage in just, 15 to 30 minutes a week because our team has all of the SOPs and we're able to really take a step back from that. But people saw the success of that and they started asking if they could take me out to coffee, if they could pick my brain, if they could, all of the things, which I'm thrilled to share my knowledge. But in order to help people in a way that would actually be impactful, I wanted to set up a community of hosts that I could really pour into. And so that's where MRH Education came in. We have a couple of different mentorship programs that take people from, zero real estate experience all the way through to setting up the systems processes to actually run this business well, but walking them through, how do you actually underwrite a deal? Where do you find the money to buy a property? Like, how does this whole thing work? And we help other people and families create that time and financial freedom through short-term rentals in that mentorship community. So, like I said, it kind of all built upon each other. And the training that I had as COO of that other business really helped me create the systems processes and the property management business. And it just all kind of works together, but no time or training is ever wasted in life experience there.
That's awesome. So like you talk about leaving the golden handcuffs, right? Pretty much. Like what was that defining moment that you can, like, what is your why? Last time we talked about what that, the why, right? What drives us. What was your why for saying, you know what? I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to be a biologist or have a job. Like, what was your why?
I think it was realizing that my life, like, I wasn't lighting up. I wasn't excited about what I was doing when I woke up. Sure, there were certain things about the government contracting company that I loved. I loved being able to work with my dad. Like, he's one of my greatest mentors as an entrepreneur. He's a brilliant businessman. And when I really took a step back from it, it's like, do I enjoy this company? Do I enjoy the work? Or do I like working with him? If I remove him out of it and I take over, is this what I want to do with my life and have this be my body of work? And ultimately it wasn't, and thankfully my parents are both like extremely supportive of that. And they said, we just want to see you happy and fulfilled in what you're doing. Then the other like logistical aspect of it is, I mentioned I had my son, my first son. I have two now. But our manufacturing facility that I was in charge of managing millions of dollars in operations over there was 2.5 hours away from home. So the arrangement was, I had a house where the place was, and I was there every other week. So I would commute, take my son, our nanny, everybody, and we go for, 4 days of the week, every other week. And it was just something that we needed to be successful, because it's large scale manufacturing that you just sometimes have to be there. I was like, this just isn't fitting into where I want my life to go. And so that's when I started looking for something else. And, being able to pour into my son, be able to pour into my family and have the time, and also just have something that really lights me up every day, where I'm excited to get up and get into the office. It's not work. It's something that I absolutely love doing. And I love helping other families be able to create that time freedom for themselves, because that ripple effect of them being able to pour into their families is just, something that's priceless. And I get so much fulfillment out of helping other people do the same thing.
That is beautiful. You found what lights you up, what makes you spark. And I think that's really important, is that we follow our paths of love and light, right? We too often get stuck in the monotony of things, right? In the expected of us realm. For us, none of me or my husband, neither of us came from an entrepreneurial background. Like when we decided to start our business, our parents were like, what? Why? Just, there's no stability there. And, at times there was no stability there. But we had talked about when I was talking with you about how I ventured from my business to try and work with a hospital as their marketing director for like 9 months. And I just was not happy. There was no spark there. And so I think, being brave enough to follow that spark is like jumping off that cliff, like we talked about, right? It's like you look down and it's could be just this black hole, but you don't know if there's a white fluffy cloud gonna catch you if you don't take that leap. So I think a lot of people just kind of get stuck in that fear. We talked about fear too, of just the unknown and not being able to do it, right? So I think that was very brave of you.
Thank you.
You go, girl. Especially, wanting to have that time, because that's what my why was, is I wanted to be able to go to every doctor's appointment or to every football game or to any, cupcakes with mom, whatever that looked like, right? I wanted to be able to make that own schedule for me and my kids, because they, family for me was first, is
Absolutely.
first, no matter what.
Always.
So that was, my why jumping into this. And then I learned that this was my spark. For me, it was, I'm making a conscious decision that I want to be with my family, but then I recognize this is where I belong. And I think that spark is what kept me going. The why is why I started, but that spark of just, I love what I do every single day, that keeps me going for 15 years. So,
and when we chatted on mine, I loved how you shared the relationships that you've built with your clients have just been some of your biggest gifts to you. I thought that was just such a beautiful sentiment and just spoke to your heart of caring for the people that you work with and how it's not work for you because you genuinely care about them and seeing their success. I thought that was so beautiful and it resonated with me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it makes all the difference in the world. So let's talk about now, I've worked with lots of like real estate clients before, but never in the short term, or would you call it medium term?
Short term or midterm. It's kind of STR, MTR is kind of the acronyms for those two.
So can you tell me what the difference is?
So a short-term host is typically defined as somebody who hosts for stays 30 days or less. Midterm stays are anything 31 days to kind of that year mark.
Okay.
So there's a lot of overlap between the two, short-term rental and midterm rental. I consider myself a host for both. Both of those are typically furnished rentals. So people who can come in, hang their clothes up in the closet, and everything should be there for them to live their life. So short term, typically vacation-ish, people coming and visit family a week or so at a time. Some of the most beautiful stories that we've had on the short term side of things is we hosted a family who was coming into town to adopt a child. And so part of that process is they have to have 2 weeks staying at the location to, I guess, acclimate where the Child Protective Service, I'm not sure what organization does it, but they check in and there's a 2-week period. And we've actually hosted several families who are coming to adopt children. And when they share that with us, we always like to give them a little welcome basket or something of just baby gear. But some of the most beautiful messages that we've received from them have been, your home will always be the place that we brought home our baby. And so they've come back to this. I mean, it makes me cry every time. I'm going to try not to get emotional about it, but it's just being able to host people in some of the most, high experiences. And, of course, we host people who are in town because their family's in hospice and just, other things, just being there for people in those big and small life moments is something that I've really enjoyed about hosting. But midterm, we typically see people who are coming into town for a long-term assignment. Like me, my family just relocated to Texas for 3 months because my husband's a reservist in the Marine Corps. And we are staying in a midterm rental for the next 3 months. It's fun on my Instagram, folks. I've been sharing the good, the bad, the ugly of this midterm rental.
We'll make sure that's all in the show notes too. Because you've got a great page. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I was like digging through it. Love it. Love it. So good, bad, and ugly.
Good, bad, and the ugly. I promise to share all the things with that. But so people who are relocating for a short amount of time who need a furnished space, or somebody, their house may have burned down, or they have a pipe burst and their insurance company is paying for them to have a home while their permanent residence is being finished or repaired. So that's kind of the difference between the two, short-term and midterm.
Interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about, like, would you mind sharing some key strategies maybe that have driven the success in this space for you?
Absolutely. So in life and in business, one of my core guiding principles is quality over quantity. And I don't think that you will ever go wrong with that, whether you're in a short-term or mid-term rental business or just any other type of business. Focusing on quality and not just having quantity has always served me well. And so what that looks like in my business is I have a small but mighty portfolio. Shared long-term rental not having a return on investment. People are typically making $100 to $200 a month in cash flow from that, where a short-term rental, if you do it well and you're competing on value, and so having a top-tier property and whatever that is, you can charge what your property demands. And most of my properties are seeing at least $2,000, but more likely $5,000 in profit a month. Beautiful. And so when you multiply that out, it's a pretty decent little living from not a ton of work, especially if you have the systems and processes set up. But the way that we achieve that is by having the top properties in markets and focusing on quality properties, quality guest experiences, so that we don't have to have a ton of properties, the quantity, to make sure that we are able to meet our margins. So quality over quantity is definitely something that has served me well in all aspects, but especially in the short-term and mid-term rental space.
That's brilliant. Okay, everybody rewind that, listen to that again, because I think that was really important. Quality over quantity is going to increase your profit margin in any business that you do. I truly, truly believe that, because people will pay more for quality. I truly believe that.
And then their biggest problems.
Then they become brand ambassadors, right? And once you have brand ambassadors, your marketing costs go down, because word of mouth is the cheapest form of marketing out there, right? So making sure you have that quality and offer that quality, not just in the home itself, but in the way that you service them, in the way that you treat them. Right? Absolutely. You're not just a landlord, right? It's
a hospitality business at the end of the day.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, it's hospitality. And I think to piggyback off of what you were saying, the other main thing that has served me so well, whether it was moderately high maintenance or the properties, the thing is owning your own book of business and focusing on not just a rented audience, but an owned audience. How are you getting people from Google, from Facebook, from Instagram to your email list so that you are not reliant on paid ads and algorithm or other things? And I know you preach to that as well, of how do you get people onto your thing so that you can touch them and serve them in a way that aligns with your business. So you're not relying on somebody else to show them your stuff. I mean, it's kind of marketing 101, but yeah, sometimes you gotta
a lot of people miss that though. It's in my experience, they rush too fast to market without having that plan, right? That strategic plan, that understanding of what happens in the service side of things if you have somebody that reaches out and is unhappy with the service that you offer. Not understanding or not planning for that. I think it was Benjamin Franklin said, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Yes. Right? So not having a plan as to how you are going to address the good, the bad, and the ugly is, in my opinion, where a lot of businesses struggle and end up closing their doors because they prepared to fail. Or they don't. Other way around. You know where I'm going with that.
I we all know what you mean.
Yeah.
What was that gem? I don't have my notes in front of me because I obviously just moved, but you dropped such an amazing nugget. And I think it was strategize, analyze, optimize. Is that what it was?
Test, analyze, optimize.
Test.
Called the TOW method.
The TOW method. Say it one more time for us. I need to soak it back in.
Test, analyze, optimize.
So good. So
test
good.
It first. Right? Yeah. You have to just kind of you throw the spaghetti at the wall. If it's not done yet, you boil it a little bit longer, right?
Leave it in the pot. We're not ready to eat
and
it.
then you flavor up your sauce, right? Oh my goodness. I do enjoy you so much.
Same. It feels like I've known you for a very long time.
I have a feeling we will be friends for a very long time to come.
I certainly
So
hope
let's
so.
talk about your podcast. I love the name, the Luxe and the short of it. And it's going to cover a wide variety of entrepreneurial topics. So one, I want to know, where'd you come up with that awesome name? And what led you to start your podcast? And then finally, what impact are you hoping to make through your episodes?
Okay. I have struggle with short-term memory, so we might have to jog my memory on those two.
Where'd you come up with the name?
Yes. Where did I come up with the name? I have to throw it back to my team. Like, we were just workshopping all kinds of different things. We wanted to have a throw to short-term rentals, but I didn't want it to be too narrowed in on short-term rentals because that's not the whole focus of it. Sure, we share some hilarious stories of, you won't believe this crap happened in my short-term rental. We share some of that, and we share some of the lessons that we've learned, but a lot of it is interviewing amazing entrepreneurs like yourself and learning from their experiences and their stories. And then what I've learned in my years as an entrepreneur, whether it was from my content creation business or the properties or the consulting and coaching, like, there's just a wide range of knowledge there. And so we wanted to pull from a lot of different things. And the Luxe I share in my origin episode is more about life's little luxuries. Like, what does that mean? We're not talking about Lamborghinis, flash and cash, all of those things that we see on social media quite a bit, the quote unquote luxuries. It's life's simple moments of being able to choose how you spend your time and creating the life that you want to live on your terms. And so that is the Luxe aspect of it. And then the short of it is just, we're going to get to the point. And it was kind of a play on words of the long and the short of it. So
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And if, for my listeners, most of my listeners are budding entrepreneurs or maybe women who are struggling to find their place. And so the fact that what I loved about yours is it's just so easily, the flow is easy. You share the good, the bad, and the ugly without judgment. And that's why I feel like my listeners are really going to resonate with you. So I want to make sure it's on Apple Podcasts, right?
It is, and Spotify. I think we're on most of the
pretty
much
everywhere.
We're everywhere. You can find me on the Luxe and the short of it. But thank you for putting that in the show notes and for your
absolutely. I really do. I peeps, I believe that you're going to find value. I was listening to the previous episode, so I truly believe that you're going to find value. So what made you decide to start talking about this through podcasts?
It's a great question. So as I shared, I've been creating content. I think 2016 was the first year that I did. And it started as that blog, that lifestyle website, Moderately High Maintenance. And then, of course, that was on social media as well. But what I really enjoy is having conversations with people and taking it deeper, peeling the onion. And podcasting was just a way for us to have those deeper conversations with people that I enjoy hearing their story. And I wanted people to be able to hear more about what happens behind the scenes in my business, like what's going on in real time in a way that you can't really tell on a 1-minute Instagram story or an Instagram reel. You can kind of get the highlights of that, but you don't get to the heart. And I think podcasting just allows you to get to the heart of things in a way like no other platform does.
Exactly. That's exactly why I started mine. Yeah. What is your goal with this? Like, what are you hoping to achieve from it?
From podcasting?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to reach a wider audience, and I want people who are meant to be in my community to be able to find it and resonate with it. I say all the time, your vibe attracts your tribe. And as we shared a minute ago, you get to the heart of things, you get to the heart of people in podcasting like you can't in other places. And I hope that just more people are able to join the tribe, and just really making more connections with people, other entrepreneurs. The network is invaluable, and relationships are invaluable. And being able to have these conversations, you build relationships with people.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's what you're saying is like you built your business from networking from the original lifestyle blog, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So as every entrepreneur faces roadblocks, like everyone does. As a woman, though, I find that and maybe I'm just biased in myself, but I find that I've run into more roadblocks than those of my wonderful male counterparts. And then as a female entrepreneur who is also a mother of young kids, I've had the same feeling. So for you as a woman, as a mother, what roadblocks have you encountered? And then would you maybe share some of the lessons that you've learned from it, or how you have kind of faced those challenges head on?
Sure. So it was definitely a lot more prevalent when I was in the government contracting company as a COO. That's working in government is just such a male-dominated field. We did a lot of work with, police departments and other things. I'll never forget being at a conference and my director of operations was standing there and somebody came up and I'm sure they meant well, but I said, "Hey, how can I help you? What questions can I answer for you about our product?" And he said, "I'll wait to speak to your boss." And I'm like, "That's fine. I signed his paycheck, but you can wait to talk to him." And, those types of things happen quite a bit. And I think what it did was it kind of steeled my stomach a little bit. And I'm like, what they think does not matter, has no impact on me, and just kind of let me release it. In the short-term rental space, especially the consulting space, I think being a mom and being a woman in this business has been a key differentiator for me.
Really?
So are you familiar with Temple Grandin? She was a woman who has I think she has Asperger's, some form of autism, and she was a biologist. What her gifting was being able to go into certain animal environments and farms, or I hate to say slaughterhouses, but that's kind of what it was, like the industry.
But they are.
And she could identify things that were stressful for them from their view. It was a very unique gifting, and I learned that from my biology days back in the day. But she would go through, and she was a consultant and helped these people make the environments better for the animals. And so things like removing a flag from a flagpole because it was red and it was aggravating the animal, like seeing things through animals' perspectives. I promise I'm getting somewhere with short-term rentals.
No doubt.
This story. But being a mom and designing my properties, like I design in such a way where I'm looking at things underneath a chair rail of what can I do to make this better for all of the people who are coming. So if you have a 2-year-old, like we have all of the things that you need, down to a sound machine, a crib, and certain things that make it easier for families to travel. And so being able to come into a space and be very thoughtful and intentional and design to a very clear target audience, speak to that guest avatar. In marketing, we talk about marketing to your ideal client and your ideal avatar. I can create properties to a guest avatar like none other. I'm not saying my male counterparts can't do it, but I think that's a differentiator between me and a lot of people in the field. And as a consultant, most all of the consultants in my space are men.
Really?
Yes. And so
that's your differentiator.
That's our big differentiator. And we lean into it. Like people view me as the mom in the space. Like there are some guys who are like flashing Lambos, cash, and all this stuff. And like, you know what, guys, that has its place. But if you just want more time with your kids and you want to do this business well and beautifully and all of that, come to me. And it works.
When you say that, I flash back. I have this memory of me. I was traveling to visit family, and this isn't short-term rental-wise, but I was traveling to visit family. It was just me and my toddler son at the time. He was 1, maybe 2. And I have this vision in my head of me trying to push the stroller and the car seat and the bags and like multiple bags, because you have to have the crib sheets. You have to have the pack and plays. You have to have the toys.
It's exhausting.
Having the sound machines, like little things like that. The ability to travel lighter right there is a win. Like right there is a win.
Exactly. And then, on top of that, people who stay at our properties, it's like, hey, these are the baby things that we provide. But if you need additional things, we have a partner who will have it delivered to the house and set up before you. So they'll bring sanitized giant bins of toys based on your child's gender and their age. Like, we have partners that really come in and make that elevated experience. And we offer that across the board at all of our properties. And so that's what I'm talking about, that quality over quantity, that creating that elevated guest experience so you can charge premium prices, but you're also like really delivering on the value and making people sticky customers. I mean, I have people who call me and are like, hey, have you opened a property in this town yet? I only want to stay at your properties, which is the greatest compliment that I could ever have. But the ripple effect and the why is helping other people and other families create businesses that have that same level of quality and have that experience for the guests that are coming in. It's a giant ripple effect.
And it feels good.
It feels good. It
really
absolutely feels good being able to host people and just make their time in your space feel like home.
I love that. You must be a good entertainer. Do you like to entertain people at home?
I used to before I had my kids. Now I'm just too tired. I mean,
now it's like you have to notify me 2.5 hours before you even think about stopping by so I can clean up the toys in the living room.
I don't
then
mind
the kitchen,
that.
then the living room again, because no matter what, they're following you around. And yeah.
I mean, I don't mind people coming over in my house being dirty. Brent, I have wonderful help at home. I'm not a domestic person myself. I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do laundry. I don't do any of that at the house. But if you come in and there are toys in my house, I don't care. It's more of a like, I just don't feel like fighting the battle of dinner time publicly. My kids, guys, are 4 and 2, and the struggle between like getting the 2-year-old to just sit and not throw food. Sometimes I try to be consistent with the parenting, but sometimes I just don't want to. I'm like, please just don't. And so fighting that battle publicly is just not typically my jam. But I look forward to being able to entertain more. But
you're filling that need yourself with your properties, though.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You're entertaining without having to kind of bring it all into your space. I call it my chaos. I love my chaos.
I love my chaos. Absolutely. I love the farm. I love it's just a lot at home right now. It's just a season of life. Mm-hmm. And it's just a season. And I get to fulfill that with hosting at my properties. So it's easier with other people who have kiddos. Like if they can kind of entertain us, I'm like, come on over. You're welcome in my chaos. You're just going to add to it. That's completely fine.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's, and we talked about like mental health struggles, anxiety, depression, imposter syndrome, ADHD, we covered all of that stuff. For me, it's that imposter syndrome of if you come to my house and it's a mess, because I have, me, my husband, my 16-year-old, my 6-year-old, and my 3-year-old all in my home, plus 4 dogs, and it's a small home. So it's hard to keep, it's just us, right? It's hard to keep it up. So if you come into my home and it's not like, I remember growing up and my house was pristine. My mom always kept everything clean. In my mind, it was perfect. She was the perfect mom who worked all the time. She was the perfect mom who kept the house perfect. She was the perfect mom whose laundry was always done, who made dinner every night. Wow. And going back and talking with her about this, I find that what is in my head is not what was in reality. So for me, I'm trying to compare myself to perfect. And even though guests who come over, they're not seeing what
They don't
I'm
care.
seeing. And so I have a struggle with like, you come into my house and there's dog prints because it just rained and there's mud outside and I just mopped my floor, but there's dog prints. You're judging me. But really, it's me judging me. So that's where I
Totally.
struggle with entertaining. I love to cook for big parties. I love to just be that host that just makes everybody laugh and smile. Like, I love doing that. But as I recognize this whole imposter syndrome thing that I'm learning about, I find that I am so worried about being judged that I avoid the opportunity to have people in my space rather than just being like, this is me, this is my chaos, love it or leave it. That's their problem, not mine.
That takes me back to I'm trying to remember who said it. I don't remember, but it's people remember how you make them feel. And if they feel warm and welcomed into your home, they don't care if you have dog prints on the ground. And that's
really
such a good reminder of like the imperfect, the chaos, whatever we want to call it. I mean, people, I wouldn't care. I'm like, oh, where are these sweet fur babies? Let me give them a hug. It's like the sign of life. It's like the mess is the sign of life.
Yeah. That the sign of life. I mean, we are living. I don't have a museum.
No.
Right. And this is my life. And if you're the type of person that's going to, man, I'm going to have to write this down and talk with my therapist about this because you just helped me grow and expand. Because if they're the type of person who's going to come into my house and judge me, they're not the type of person I want in my home.
They're not your tribe. That's not your vibe. And they're certainly not your tribe.
See, you just helped me grow. Oh, thank you.
I'm honored. I'm happy to. I have to know.
I love it when women can brainstorm like this and just help each other find a moment of just like, light bulb. Okay. We just said the same thing at the same time.
I know. Jinx. What is your like dead ringer you love to cook for folks? Like if you have people coming over, what is your recipe that you're like, this is going to crush it? Everyone's going to love this.
Okay. So I love to cook. I'm going to say a few things because I do so many different things. I make a bomb ass charcuterie spread.
Ooh.
I love to make like this, like I will take my whole dining room table. Like I used to, so my husband and I, we would coach my boys' football teams growing up. Always. We were their coaches. So we would have 5 or 6 boys over and their parents and you know what I mean? So we would have a house full of 15, 20 people. So I'd take my whole dining room table and I would turn my dining room table into a charcuterie board with like cranberry grape meatballs or you know what I mean? Like just a little of everything. I am amazing at pastas.
Do you home make them or do you just like home make the sauce?
I home make pretty much everything except for, I mean, when I'm trying to hurry, like I will, I'll use like canned pasta sauce, but everything I add into it is unique and different. But with me, I don't use recipes and my kids hate it because I don't use recipes. I will be like, okay, what does it smell like? All right, let's just add a little bit of this, and a little bit of this. And then voila, it's something that tastes delicious. But when my kids ask me to make it again,
you can't do
it. I can't make the same thing. It's always, every single time I make a pasta dish, it tastes a little different because I don't measure.
While it's good, you'll never have it again.
I know. I don't measure. I don't. So my kids have started to ask me, Mom, can we write this down while you're doing it? Or Mom, can I watch you? So both my older boys, my son Tyler and Jaden, he's 23 and 20 and 16, they enjoy cooking with me, which is something I wish that I did when I was younger with my mom. But they enjoy cooking with me because they write things down and they measure things.
Yeah.
So they kind of are creating their own mom cookbook. But I think they would say their favorite thing I make is a Cajun chicken pasta. It's almost like a pink sauce, but it's got this bite of spice, and that's what they ask me to make most of the time. Is a Cajun chicken pasta. We love spice.
Can I invite myself over?
Yeah. I don't know how to make. I can't even make biscuits and gravy that's not spicy. I have to have that like
spice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, spice. Like,
are you doing like
we came from Arizona, so
what's
like hot
what's your
spice.
pepper of choice?
So I grew a lot in my garden. I haven't been able to go ghost peppers yet, but I really like using habanero and ancho chili peppers. Those are really good. And what I do is I grow a lot of chili. So I have jalapenos, anchos, habanero peppers, like red peppers, and I will take them because I end up somehow I get a lot of them.
Yeah.
I will bottle them in olive oil for all of the winter. And then I end up having a jalapeno olive oil that I cook with, or an ancho chili pepper olive oil that I cook with. So yeah,
and that gives you enough spice.
Yeah. Well, I like to use, so when I'm making my spaghetti, for example, a lot of people think this is weird, but it's kind of a family thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I make my red pasta sauce, I will use hamburger meat. I'll use spicy Italian sausage. I use tomato sauce. A lot of the times I will put in fennel, red chili pepper flakes, salt, pepper, garlic, bay leaves. I'll put a full bay leaf in there. I use a lot of like red peppers or any type of, there's this one called Slap Your Mama. It's like it's called Slap Your Mama. It's like a hot, almost Cajun-y. And so that kind of adds that flavor. But with tomato sauce, I don't like the flavor of tomato sauce. To me, it's like very sweet almost. So I had Worcestershire sauce, which I'll never be able to say, and A1 sauce. It makes
I love some Worcestershire. I love that, whatever we're calling that. I put it on everything. Chicken, I keep a giant bottle that I get at Costco of that stuff. So I've never put it in my pasta sauce, so I'm gonna borrow that one. I put it in my pasta sauce, and I put a little A1 sauce, and it makes it bold. And then my other secret ingredient to pretty much everything, I'll put it on potatoes, I'll put it in pastas, I'll put it in Montreal steak seasoning. Fascinating.
I use it in everything. If I'm going to, like, every once in a while, and I will boil the potatoes in a mixture of water and vegetable stock and Montreal steak seasoning.
Is there a specific brand of Montreal
steak seasoning? Yeah, just it's
like McCormick or
yeah, something like that. Like it's it's just a mixture of all sorts of different herbs and spices, and it just has this amazing flavor to me. It's what people normally just put on their steaks when they're cooking it. I put it in almost everything, and I find that next time if you're going to make green beans, I'll just use that example. Next time you make green beans, use a little bit of vegetable broth, like dump out the liquid in the green bean cans, right? Like whether it's fresh or whether it's canned, like I do canned all the time, but dump out the liquid in there, put vegetable broth in it, and you can buy those little jars that's like it's like a scoop, like a paste almost.
Yes, the better than bouillon.
Yes. So I'll put just a spoonful of that in and some fresh water and Montreal steak seasoning. Like, I'm telling you, it's the best green beans. Yeah. I don't measure anything, so I don't know.
Of the Montreal, folks.
I'm telling you, you will love it. So try it and then tell me what you think. I'm very interested.
The key will be if the 2-year-old will eat it. But
my son is so funny, Crosby. First time I made him, and he had to be 2, I think. First time I remember making them for him. He was eating green beans like crazy, and he would pick it up and he'd go, a bean, and then he'd eat it, and then pick up the next one, a bean. So like now, anytime we have green beans, like in my head, I'm like, we're making a bean of beans.
I love it.
And so what about you? Do you have a favorite dish? Even if you don't make it, do you have a favorite dish that
Well,
you
my husband John typically does the cooking in the house. He's like a grill master. But my grandma, who I'm named after, her name is Augustina, and I'm Madeline Augustina. She is Spanish, so she's first generation US. And so she has a family recipe of arroz con pollo, so chicken and rice.
Okay.
That's I use chicken tenderloins, and then I put just a little bit of salt, garlic powder on it. You chop an onion, throw it in like a large stock pot, and then you brown the chicken on either side. You do 2 cups of white rice, 4 cups of water, and like a palm full of saffron. And of course, okay, folks, just know you're seasoning at every step. My blog was a cooking blog, so I used to cook quite a bit. So season at every step, a little salt, a little pepper all the way through. You cook it for 15, put the lid on the pot, cook it for 15 minutes. You serve it with black beans, and you top it with roasted red peppers, and you serve it with coleslaw. Seems like a really random combination, but that is the quintessential taste of home for me. And it comes together in 15, 20 minutes. And it is comfort food incarnate for me. And I do still make that.
For me, comfort food is homemade chicken and dumplings.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I go back and I say I really wish that I would have paid more attention because my mother's an amazing cook.
Does she still cook?
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah. And she learned from her dad, and it was from the time where it's like you have to find how to make things with what you have in the cabinets.
Yeah.
You just whatever you have, you figure out how to make something with it. She would make a lot of comfort foods. She came from West Virginia, Indiana. Like she just kind of had those comfort foods like biscuits and gravy, which when I was younger, I hated. I hated biscuits and gravy. I hated chicken and dumplings. I didn't even want to try it. Like just give me my mac and cheese and spaghetti and I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I love making chicken and dumplings, and I'll make the dumplings. I use Bisquick to help make the dumplings, but I use less milk and I add some sour cream, and it makes it like this.
Whoa.
Yeah, they're just really good.
Amazing.
So those are my comfort foods: is chicken and dumplings and biscuits and gravy. But my dad taught me to grill from a young age. He taught me how to grill. So when we would have those big like football parties and gatherings, I would be the one out there grilling, 30 chicken legs and hamburgers and hot dogs. I think one time I was working a grill and ended up making like 100 pieces of meat on the grill. Oh my goodness. I love to grill.
I like that in John's, like in his camp. He's excellent. He doesn't even want me touching this grill, but he's so neurotic is not a kind way to say this because I mean it with the most love, but he is super neurotic about it and has this notebook of all of his grill cooks and like, oh, I made 2-inch pork chops and I cooked them at this, like, and then he'll make notes of they were a little dry or, whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot, dude. But his meat that he cooks is excellent. So
I always cooked growing up. But my husband has kind of taken over a lot of that role and responsibility over the past like year or 2 years. I don't really know I think it was when my dad got sick and I was kind of just falling apart. Right. And my husband's amazing. Like he totally is like super dad. Like I never woke up really when my kids would cry at night. I never breastfed. So he always took care of the kids at night. And now it's like over the past 2 years. And the other day he made my spaghetti. And again, he's like, what do you put in it? And I'm like, a little bit of this, a little bit of this. He made my spaghetti. And I come home and I'm eating it. And I'm like, this is almost better than mine. And now I have like this competition in my head that when I make my spaghetti, it's not right. And I'm like, how is it that he is now taking over my awesomeness role? And it's a little challenging for me, to be honest with
Embrace it. Embrace it. I used to be the same way. I'm like, oh, mine's better or whatever else. And now I'm just like, I love this for you. And I love this for me because I am not doing
It's
it.
a much better way to look at it.
Yes.
Instead of being like, oh, this is better than mine. Oh, I'm so grateful that you made this for me and it tastes so damn good.
So damn good. And I didn't have to do it.
And I didn't have to do
I
it.
didn't have to do it.
That's almost the better part.
Yes. I didn't have to slave over
Oh my
the
gosh.
stove.
So kind of back to this. Talk to me real quick and we'll wrap up here. I could talk to you forever, but balancing work life, right? I think women, whether they are employed or they are self-employed, especially, again, I go back to women just because that's what I have most experience with, but work-life balance. It's not easy. So what do you find helps you maintain that work-life balance? Or do you even have one? I mean, I'm going to say yes, you probably have one, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think the key to that is realizing that you can't do it all, whether that's at work or at home, and figuring out what is the highest and best use of your time and then devoting your energy to that. And early on, I realized that delegating was going to be critical for me to take my business to the next level. And so I encourage myself and my students all the time of figure out what you love and outsource the rest. So at home, what that looks like is, I mentioned earlier, I don't do laundry. I don't clean. And I haven't done laundry for 12, 15 years at this point. And what I did was I said, all right, how much would it cost for me to pay wash and fold? And I figured out what my hourly rate was. If I was working or spending time with my kids, like, what is that? And outsourcing that task, it was like $50 a week, and I don't touch laundry. Like, why would I do that? But people haven't gone through the practice of, okay, what does it actually look like for me to outsource this? But we feel like we have to do it all in order to maintain what you were saying. Your mom, had the perfect house. It was clean. It was this. And, it's like, yes, I want all of those things for my family, but it doesn't mean that I necessarily have to do that. So
makes a lot of sense. I spend hours a week on laundry, hours, and it's like I beat myself up so much because it's never done.
It's never
always done. There's laundry everywhere all the time, and I think about it. If I spend probably 10 hours a week on laundry, if I do the math,
your hourly rate, I am sure, is significant. Why are you still doing a task that you can pay somebody $10, $15 an hour? At most. I mean, this morning here in Fort Worth, my mom was like, have you found somebody to do your laundry yet? She knows I don't do it. And I said, yep, they're picking it up this morning from the doorstep. It'll be delivered back tomorrow morning. Washed, folded, ready to go.
They pick it up from you?
Yes. Look it up in your area.
There's 17,000 people in my area.
There was a town of 10,000 that I had that done.
Right.
I had that service. So, yeah, I don't live in a big place.
I'm so going to look that up because just that right there, I would be able to spend more time with my kids.
With your kids. I did not want to be home away from them. And so if I'm going to scale over here, something had to give over here so I could spend more time with my babies. And so optimizing my team over here, optimizing my systems and processes so I'm not doing as much over here so I can focus on the high level task. And then when I'm home and I'm with them and I'm present and I'm not trying to get my giant to-do list at home done. And that's been a game changer for me for work-life balance.
I bet that make me feel better about myself because when I'm home, I'm working. Yeah. Whether it's working or whether it's working on the home. Like, I feel like I neglect my children. And again, I know that that's not entirely 100% true, but it's like I'm not doing enough for them because I'm so busy doing for the house. So just that right there, that key, that tip of delegating the things that you can delegate in a way that it is cost effective because you're doing the math of how much time you're spending. Like just right there, that free up 10 hours of my week.
It's insane.
And I could build snowmen with my kids.
Yes. Somebody told me, because I wanted to free myself from, that image of being the perfect mom. Like, it looks different these days. And somebody said, do you know how kids spell love? And I said, no. They said Time. And I was like, that just hit my heart. They're not going to remember if I was the one doing their laundry. They're not going to remember. They're going to remember if I was sitting there and I was present with them. And that shifted my perspective on everything.
Okay. Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. That's going to become a little short for our social. How do kids spell love? It's Time. And I am taking that time away from them. And it's not going to be there forever.
It's just the societal pressure for us to feel like we're hitting, those benchmarks of perfection in the home, and it's just not feasible anymore. So you can't do it all. Figure out what you love, outsource the rest, delegate that stuff, and just really pour into the people that you love.
Great. Okay, that is a win for everybody. And I am so glad this is my podcast because I am keeping that. I'm writing that down. I am going to manifest that shit. I'm going to find myself a laundry person.
Claim it. Claim it. Look for wash, dry, fold. And I guarantee you'll find somebody in your area who's doing it.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So innovation plays a key role in business success. And as my podcast is so, named Innovative Entrepreneurs, who has been the most influential entrepreneur in your journey? And what have you learned from them?
Hands down, my dad. Yeah. I don't even have to think about it. Yeah, he mentored me in my entire entrepreneurial journey, and it's kind of come full circle with me now managing and helping him start his own short-term rental business. So that's been a gift of him pouring into me throughout the beginning of my career. And now I'm able to give back to him and my mom and help them see the success in short-term rentals. And it's just been a beautiful journey with them. And I'm forever grateful.
I bet the look on their face, knowing that you are successful and happy, that's got to feel good.
That's what they say. I can't speak on their behalf, but they have said many times that they're happy to see how fulfilled I am with what I'm doing.
Okay, so I want everybody to know where they can find you, where they can learn from you. You have just so much value, not just in the short-term rental space, but as a business-minded person, as a woman in entrepreneurial journey. So where can people find you? And who is your avatar? Like, who do you feel like you can help the most?
So people can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn at Madeleine Raiford-Holland. That's also my website, MadeleineRaiford-Holland.com. Also my podcast, The Luxe and the Short of It. I'd love to see you guys over there. But I am here to help support anyone who wants to achieve time and financial freedom through short-term or mid-term rentals. So a lot of my clients are high income earning 9-to-5 people who want to start maximizing their tax benefits through real estate. I work with a lot of stay-at-home moms who want to add an additional stream of revenue for their families. I work with a lot of families who are wanting to escape the corporate grind. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who have their own businesses and another thing, but they need real estate for tax benefits. So really anybody who is looking to start or optimize a short-term rental business, I'm your girl.
Awesome. Well, I definitely will be talking with you about that more. A one-on-one scale, because it's something I have always been interested in. It's that first, I don't know what to do. Well, right. That's my answer right here, is contact Madeline. If you don't know what to do, if that's your first thought when you say, how do I get into real estate? It's contact Madeline. Well, that's your answer. That's all you need.
That's all you need. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. I loved this conversation. I know a lot of people will too. Wow. What a great episode. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you want more of this goodness, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications for future podcasts. And if you found value from this, please share it with others. You can visit our website at cwgdigital.com. This is Erica Bailey. I am your host, and I will see you next time.